Kenya, a vibrant nation in East Africa, is facing a storm. It's not a natural disaster this time, but a political and economic one, sparked by the government's new finance bill for 2024. This bill, meant to raise revenue for the government, has been met with fierce resistance, plunging the country into a wave of protests and unrest. From the bustling streets of Nairobi to remote villages, Kenyans are feeling the pinch of a rising cost of living. Many see the new tax hikes as the government turning a blind eye to their struggles. The situation has brought back memories of past economic hardships, raising questions about the government's ability to address the needs of its people. What does this controversial bill propose? It introduces tax increases across various sectors. One debated measure is the VAT increase on fuel from 8 to 16%. This hike makes transportation and therefore goods and services more expensive. Farmers now pay double for fuel to transport produce. This cost will be passed on to the consumer. Another component is a 3% housing levy on salaries. For every 100 shillings earned, 3 will fund housing projects. Critics argue these measures burden citizens already struggling to make ends meet. In a fragile economy, these costs could stifle growth and deepen financial strain on households. The government's insistence on implementing these tax hikes has ignited a firestorm of public anger. Across the country, Kenyans have taken to the streets, expressing their discontent through protests and demonstrations. The rallying cry is clear: enough is enough. The protests are a testament to the level of frustration and desperation among Kenyans. They see the new taxes as adding insult to injury, further eroding their purchasing power in an already challenging economic climate. The government's assurances that the pain will be short-lived and lead to long-term gains have fallen on deaf ears. For many Kenyans, the struggle is already at a boiling point. Section 4. Fuel to the fire, breaking down the opposition's arguments. The opposition to the finance bill is rooted in a number of key arguments. Kenyan Citizen 2. Firstly, critics argue that the government has not done enough to curb corruption and wasteful spending. They see the tax hikes as a way for the government to continue funding its excesses at the expense of ordinary citizens. Kenyan Citizen 2. Secondly, there is a widespread belief that the tax increases are poorly timed and tone-deaf. Kenyan Citizen 2. Imposing additional financial burdens on people already struggling to afford basic necessities is seen as insensitive and out of touch with the realities on the ground. Kenyan Citizen 2. Thirdly, many argue that the government has not adequately explored alternative revenue-generating avenues before resorting to tax hikes. Kenyan Citizen 2. They point to potential areas like streamlining tax collection, sealing loopholes, and cracking down on tax evasion. The opposition argues that these measures could generate substantial revenue without further burdening the already overtaxed population. Section 5. A nation on hold, the aftermath of unrest. The protests and riots sparked by the finance bill have brought Kenya to a standstill. Businesses have shut down, disrupting economic activity and impacting livelihoods. The instability has raised concerns about investor confidence, affecting foreign investment. The government faces the task of restoring order while addressing citizens' concerns. The situation calls for open dialogue, compromise, and concrete actions. Whether the government will heed the calls for change remains to be seen. The Finance Bill has ignited a national conversation about economic justice.